future events, all of the things. We are really excited to have Pi here today.
Yeah.
Let's
yeah.
go.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
The first time I met Pi, he was with my friend Mimi, and I think we were at 131 Main, and maybe you were visiting, maybe you hadn't moved here quite yet.
That's right.
Yeah, and we were like outside. Anyways, we're like, we like that guy. And we're really excited to bring him onto the stage today. He is in wealth management. He played college ball, and from there has parlayed the two together. So before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to all of our volunteers who are the most amazing people that show up every single Wednesday. I'm Erica Como, Britt Powell, and Tyler Powell of Britt Creative. They do all of our socials, all of our marketing. Bill McKinnon, Remela, Stephanie Tomatis, Siobhan Robinson, Sean Como, Brian Hickey back there with Broadband Media. He's recording this. It's going on to YouTube right now as we speak. And Ray and Paula Gaines, the Cutie Pies, who are on a trip somewhere today. So exciting for them. Brown Rolls, he's going to give his presentation. Afterwards, we're going to do some Q&A. You raise your hand. You wait for the microphone. When you get the microphone, you get up and you say your name. Hi, I'm Erica. And then from there, that's how we create community. Parking in the back, please park in the back off of Ann Street for all of these events so that Colin can get all the business. And we love it when you bring your own mug. All right, without further ado, here is Pi. Let's put our hands together and welcome him to the stage.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Pi Cherisika. My full name is Padamoyo Cherisika. So just a little bit of background. My father is from Zimbabwe, Africa. And when I introduce myself, usually I have to go into a 20-minute dissertation about where I'm from and things of that nature. So a lot of times it's a lot easier just to say Pi. But nevertheless, a little bit about myself. I am the Senior Wealth Advisor for Copwood Financial. We're an RIA, which is called a Registered Investment Advisor. We're based in Chicago, Illinois, more specifically Burr Ridge, Illinois. And I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. And as Erica alluded to, we were here for a nice young lady a couple of years ago, and I've enjoyed my time completely. So it's a pleasure to be here. More recently, I got my designation. I have two sons that I love to death. Sakami is my oldest son. He's actually on the U.S. men's national team for field hockey. So he started field hockey when he was a very young age and has been an athlete his whole life and is now vying for a spot in the LA Olympics. He goes to UNC Charlotte as we speak.
Awesome.
And that's where the men's Olympic training facility is. So he works out all day long and does night school there. And right now, I think he's on his way to Morocco to play in the World Cup for field hockey right now. So that dude's traveled the world already. And then my younger son who's 16 is Shay, who is a fantastic soccer player. Loves with all his heart, and he goes to Kentucky Country Day in Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from as well. So, a little bit about myself. I am the Rudy of college football. So, once upon a time, I went to Kentucky Country Day, which is a small private school, Class A football. If you guys know anything about football in high school, they usually do it by class sizes, right? So, Class A is literally the smallest school you can have. For perspective, I played with about 18 guys on my team. We should have had 50 or 60 guys on my team. I played every single position on the field, as you can imagine. All right. Most of the linemen I played with were my size or smaller. So, nevertheless, I had these aspirations and dreams to be a college football player, and I got that invitation to walk on at Wake Forest. I got into Wake Forest back in 1994, so over 30 years ago. And managed to play college football. My biggest dream was just to run out of the tunnel. If any of you guys have aspirations to play sports at a higher level, you got to start with one goal. And my goal was to run out of the tunnel. There's nothing better to me than running out of the tunnel with 70,000 people screaming at you and things like that, and I did it. And even though I only had one catch in my entire career, that's one catch more than most people. And I'm on a video game. So if any of y'all ever played Bill Walsh 97, I'm on that video game, so you can actually play my character. Nevertheless, me again playing football parlay back into a career, as Erica suggested, as a financial advisor. When I didn't make it to the NFL, I essentially went back to Louisville, Kentucky, got into banking, decided I hated banking. Banking was very transactional. They were always trying to sell you a credit card, sell you a loan, or things like that. And I was really more relationship driven. So I had a mentor in my life that suggested I look at becoming a financial advisor. At the time, I didn't even know what that meant. And the crazy thing about that is we were in the heyday of the market. This was like during the tech boom, right? You could throw a dart at a board and pick a stock and make 100% return on your investment because anything on the internet was winning, right? But I entered that market right as the tech boom bust happened. So March of 2000 is when I actually got my license to be a financial advisor. They handed me a phone book and a highlighter and said, there you go, start calling people. And that's how I started my career, cold calling, 100 dials a day to make 10 contacts, and 10 contacts to get one appointment. It was the 1% rule, right? I ended up doing pretty well in that. Went on for about 20 years as a financial advisor, and that's what I've been doing. So a lot of times people ask what a financial advisor actually does. There's a big discrepancy in our world about financial planning, stockbrokers, financial advisors, so on and so forth. The easy way that I tell people what I do is that I'm the guy you work with when you have money in motion, right? So money in motion means when you have proceeds from the sale of a house, who do you talk to? You usually talk to a financial advisor. You get a settlement. You win the lottery. You've got a 401k that you're moving from one place to another and you want to talk to somebody, you talk to me as the financial advisor. We are licensed to literally manage your money, right? So that's anything from stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, all that good stuff, all the way down the line to talking through financial plans, okay? I am not a certified financial planner. We have guys on our team that are certified financial planners, are your Magellans, right? They are the ones that build your roadmap for your future engineer and architect, what your financial plan needs to look like. I'm more of an asset allocation guy. The CFP is more of an asset location guy. Does that make sense? So, that being said, my career has been pretty long, but my aspirations to kind of merge the two is relatively new. When I turned 45, I'll show my age here a little bit. I turned 50 this past, 2 weeks ago.
All right.
But silver years. So, but at 45, I had a bunch of the guys that I played with started calling me, and they said, "Hey, bye, I need some help, and my NFL now releases my 401k, and I can get money out of it." And I said, "Okay, but you had a $30 million contract in the NFL. You won a Super Bowl. I don't understand why you need this money at all." And that happened 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 different guys I played football with. And so I started doing a little deeper dive and started to understand that professional sports while you're playing can be very, very lucrative. But 9 times out of 10, literally, most of these guys are squandering their wealth and using it all. Most of them go bankrupt within 5 years post-play, right? So I love this documentary. I don't know if any of you all are sports fans and if you guys watch ESPN, but 30 for 30 has a documentary called Broke. It is a very cool documentary. It talks about guys like Andre Rison and Deion Sanders, all these guys with private jets, and Mark McGuire and things like that, and all of them making hundreds of millions of dollars while they were playing, and within 5 years of that, having no money. They'd spent it all. So that's when my ears perked up, and I realized that there was a greater need. First of all, who are the financial advisors guiding these guys? Right? If 80% of the players in the NFL were going broke, who's representing them? There was obviously a need there that wasn't being met, or someone is not communicating or articulating to them in such a way that they can understand it. So that's where this started for me. I pictured guys like Adrian Peterson, T.O., Warren Sapp. These are the dudes of my generation, right? Having tons of money. All these guys are broke, right? They may have done better now, but at one point in time, they each filed for bankruptcy. So, crazy example of what can happen. And the truth of the matter is, the odds just aren't in a lot of guys' favor, right? In the NFL, you're down to about 500 players that do okay. When you go to high school, there's about 1 million kids out there playing high school sports. Right, that gets dialed down to about 73,000 that play for the college level, and about 250 of those make it to the NFL. Once they get to the NFL, now you got the lifestyle. Now you're a pro. Now you're leveraging your fandom and things of that nature, and you get really caught up in this lifestyle. What I have found with my guys is that the linemen typically tend to be my savers. They safety and secure and want to do right by people. And then my highlight reel guys, the wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks, will spend every dollar they got. Absolutely, right? They're the hot dogs, right? They're the ones out there showing up and showcasing their wealth, things of that nature. So it's really important to kind of understand your audience. What I try to communicate to them is as much and as hard as you prepared for a game on Friday night when you were in high school, on Saturday for college game day, or on Sunday if you make it to the pros. You spend so much preparation, whether it's mentally, blueprinting, watching tape, watching videos, getting ready for that game. Why would you not spend the same amount of time with your financial plan? So the biggest takeaway I could give for them from an analogy standpoint was we need to start looking at your money and game planning for your dollars. Right? A lot of times that comes in the form of a why. What I've learned so often is if these dudes don't have a why, they're not going to save. If I said, hey, I want you to put $100 away, but you have no reason to save it, you're going to spend $100. But if I said, if you put 80 of those dollars away and keep 20, because 80 is going to go to buy your real estate investment 5 years from now, you'll think twice about buying that shirt for $100. And you might actually put that $80 away. So in every instance when I'm working with a player, no matter what sport, my bias is football, but we work with athletes across the country. I've got swimmers, bikers, I've got a barrel rider. We work really with our basketball players, soccer players, so on and so forth. I start with why. What's your passion off the field? The sports agent will be the rah-rah guy, the Jerry Maguires, right? You're the best player ever. I love you. We're going to win everything. We're making $1 million. They're that guy. They think you can play. They tell you can play forever. I'm your what now guy. When your career sunsets, when you're out of the limelight, when you step off the field for the last time, who are you thereafter? I can tell you from personal experience, I was Pie the football player. That's how most people knew me. Pie's a big social guy, pretty fun guy. He's football guy, like that was my brand. When you step off that field, what's your brand now? Eric and I were talking about this the other day. Each and every one of us has a brand. And if I said, hey, I know that guy Pie, and I asked 5 guys how that sentence ends, if there's about 3 or 4 of them that saying the same thing, that is your brand, at least in the community, right? So getting an understanding of what these people's passions are independently of what they're doing on the field is incredibly important. This is how we create pro athlete wealth, right? It starts with a vision. It starts with their why. It starts with who are you off the field. It starts with understanding what their passion is so that we can attract business owners that say, I want to leverage that person's fandom. I want to leverage that person's audience right now. This dude's playing in front of 80,000 people that may want to buy our product. I like that they could potentially be an ambassador for our coffee, for our CrossFit, for our gym, for our hair care, right? I was telling somebody the other day, The Rock has Papa Tui coming out, which is a men's healthcare brand. Goes great with MMA. There's 1,000 guys, baseball, soccer, so on and so forth. So this is how we get to NIL. And interestingly enough, there's not as many people that know what NIL is as I thought. So right now in college sports, NIL is an acronym for name, image, and likeness. Does anybody here know what NIL is, or have you guys heard this term before? Half the room, give or take. So essentially what NIL is college players. So we went from a pay-for-play model to the students literally being employees of the college, right? Now I use that loosely. They're still considered independent contractors, but they're effectively employees of given university, and every kid on a revenue generating sport is getting paid. So that's women's basketball, men's basketball, football, and even baseball, things like that. Now there's money going to other sports as well, but it's typically based on revenue share. So name, image, likeness has been the biggest news in the last 2 or 3 years in college sports, because now you got kids getting paid millions of dollars. The highest level athletes are sometimes receiving 2, 3, 4. I think I saw a contract the other day for a Texas Tech kid that's getting, I think 1,000 acres of oil land and $5 million from Texas Tech. The biggest pockets of money in this, just as a side note, anecdotally, are in Texas. They have more, like, that's what Dallas Cowboys are, the richest business in football. Not the greatest team, but they are the best business of college football. There's more money, more support, more capital that goes into the Dallas Cowboys than any other team on earth. It starts to resonate into these other school programs. That's why TCU showed up out of nowhere a couple of years ago when they were in the national championship for football. Texas Tech, they've got big pockets. Those pockets can extend in perpetuity, right? I always talk about this as an anomaly because you get one donor from a school that pays like, oh, I'm going to pay $1 million for this kid to stay. Well, there's also this thing called the transfer portal. That kid can take that $1 million, say thank you, and bail the next year in the transfer portal. So they can school hop. So you're also finding that players are only staying at colleges maybe 1 year. It's one and done. They're chasing money, right? And I don't think that they're always chasing the right thing. But I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent there. What we usually build for our players, and these are examples of a couple things that we've done. Eric Wood played in the National League. Jelix is one of my current players. Paige is one of my current players. We build brands. We build stories. We work with Grant House. Many of you guys are deep in the NIL world. House versus the NCAA. He was the first one that charged the NCAA and said, they're using my name, image, and likeness, and I'm not getting paid for it. And he won that settlement on behalf of all the student athletes. But the concept here is really about building brands for people. These are a couple examples of brand initiatives we've done. Usually starts with a website, then as I suggested, goes to that passion. If I know what your passions are, even if it's video games, maybe EA Sports is attracted to what you're doing and we can go get you a deal with EA Sports. Mimi, I'll joke on her for a minute, like European Wax Center, right? Fantastic business. I said, how do we parlay that into opportunity? Let's go talk to all the swimmers, right? They may want to get waxing deals. So if we can have them come in, get waxed at her place, right? And then build content and said, hey, I got waxed at EWC. You know, I didn't have the panache I was looking for. But it's interesting. I have found ways to be able to educate and teach in the roles that I've had in life. So as a financial advisor, I'm spending a lot of time educating my clients on the suitable investments, the right way to direct your money, things of that nature. I coach as a hobby on the side at Asheville High School. So I'm spending time coaching these kids and teaching them in some capacity or another. But also I've been afforded the opportunity to talk to them in the spring and have a financial literacy course that we teach at least once a week to those guys. So the education in me just kind of comes. You want to have a piece of real estate in 5 years. Trying to sell a kid on saving for something in the future that's intangible today, very challenging. But if you empower them with some of these things, they start to get it. So this is the part I love. So we go through all this stuff. Leadership mindset, culture building within their teams. A lot of them already understand that. Community impact, like we're doing here today. Like, give back, be of service to other people. It feeds you. A lot of them are me right now, right? I get more out of being a coach than I do in anything else I do. And I don't get paid $1 for it. They're like, why are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know, it feels right. You know, things of that nature. Then we go through the academic stuff. We talked about personal branding quite a bit. And then how do you brand yourself and get yourself opportunities, right? And then obviously the NIL growth and opportunities there. So to speak of what I'm teaching, This is usually what this curriculum looks like at the high school level. I change this up for college athletes and for pro athletes as well. But it starts anything from higher education. I start with you're not going to make it. If we have a room of, let's say there's 50 of us in here today, maybe one of you all would go to college sports. Statistically, right? I was like one of 2 people in the state of Kentucky that played college football that year that I came out. Very rare. So you better believe, you better be focused on grad school. Where are you going to college? How do we pay for college? Coach, we don't know if we have enough money. What's FAFSA mean? Right? We start going into a lot of those details. Careers for you. Talking about your passion. I've been blessed that I get to merge my passion with my profession. In a perfect world, I want them to be able to do that. Might not start at the beginning. Benefits, taxes, banking, budgeting we talked about, borrowing, credit, insurance, both health-wise and life insurance, investing 101. They love this. What's a stock? What's a bond? How do I invest? I want crypto, all the things. Increasing your visibility, and then NIL concepts. So that is really who we are. This is my managing partner, Larry Gates. We have the primary firm, which is Copperwood Financial, and then the subsidiaries, Pro Athlete Wealth. It's really under one heading. We custody most of our assets at Charles Schwab. We do financial planning for these guys across the country. Love it to death. It's been one of my greatest passion projects. Certainly trying to continue to grow the business itself, because there's so many people out there that talk about what they know and they just have no idea what they're talking about, right? 9 times out of 10, I'll have somebody call me and be like, I saw this thing on TikTok yesterday about, and I'm like, okay, hold on one second. Let's walk through. And it's not, and listen, some people have made it that way. Like the biggest one I get is I want to own all this real estate. The best in, they want their child to win. The athlete, guy or girl, will go, and they'll go and do whatever they want to do anyway. So I get a lot. I have to find the decision maker and who has something, because a lot of times you got to remember the demographic here I'm dealing with is 17 to 22. I have this funny story. I have a lineman that's playing for the NFL, and he's 21. He's 6'7", 340 pounds, and when we get on virtual meetings, he still calls his mom mommy. He's like, Mommy, what do you think I should do with it? And I forget I'm dealing with. And he defaults to his mom every time, but he's just a big old baby. A very large baby. So it's crazy, but nevertheless, here's how you guys can help me. My footprint here is relatively new. I'm from Louisville. Asheville isn't exactly known for its sports. Like, as I understand it, we got UNCA, you maybe got App State, you got Clemson relatively close, and I got to go to Charlotte, right? But there are plenty of prototypical athletes coming out of Asheville. If there are opportunities to talk with kids that are juniors or seniors in high school going to college for sports, there's a very good chance they're about to get paid. I would love to talk with those parents. That's where I start. I no longer start with the athlete. I start with the parents. Because again, the athlete will just me to death. They're really not the decision makers at that point. Most of them are under 18, so they can't even open an account themselves anyway. So that would be a big ask. Parents of juniors and seniors in high school, school athletes themselves, parents with college level athletes, of course. They're already in NIL. High school or college athletic directors. One of my biggest things is, as I just suggested, being able to come in and educate student athletes. That is a great playground for me. So if there's opportunities to talk to local high school athletic directors that say, hey, we don't have any kids that are going to make it to college. They're not going to be it. Remember, still the passion side for me is educating people regardless. There's still something fundamentally important to me about having everyone have this understanding. We were joking earlier, when I graduated high school in '94, they didn't even mention financial curriculum when I was in high school. I don't think they're mentioning it now. It's just starting to come around because these kids are getting paid, but it's still not in our school systems. So I am really interested in talking to anybody and everybody about that, at least from the student athlete side. It might be part of the curriculum in the school, but it's definitely not part of the players. It's not in my experience so far. So that would be important to me. Sports agents, coaches, mentors, and then obviously collectives. I think UNCA has a collective here locally. App State has a collective. Clemson obviously has a collective. UNC Charlotte has a collective. So, and this is me. Pacher Sika. Copperwood Financial is the main firm, as I suggested, so that hopefully there's no confusion there. And I appreciate you all coming out.
Hey, I'm Nikki, former principal here in Asheville, so we definitely need to speak
Okay.
at the high school.
Yeah.
You guys made me feel I need to defend the curriculum. Civics and economics is offered. It is a graduation requirement. It is a highly cut class that is very much regurgitated and not learned. So please stop saying it's not in the curriculum. The second thing is financial planning is also offered, but many scholars don't take it. So that's a conversation between the parent and the scholar and the choices they're making. However, you are a teacher. Oh my goodness, yes you are, you're an educator. So thank you for what you're doing. And I want to set up some time to chat with you because it is a very tough system to navigate. But you're bringing something that's so needed, and I just want you to think about opening it up to more middle school students.
Okay.
Because that's where many students are being eyed, and they still really listen to their parents then. By the time they get to high school,
Right.
they're so far gone.
Yeah.
And sadly, many of the coaching systems are designed to squeeze the W's out of our scholars
Right.
and then not care about them off the season. And that's why many of the really good ones are not going to college and then are turning to other alternative lifestyles that are not very positive.
Right.
So we'll definitely talk, but thank you for what you're doing. It is very needed, and I've got some great advice and contacts for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. Good
Morning.
morning, Tyrone. Want to know how AI is influencing your business, like how you use it, or are other people seeking out your services less because they think they can just go to ChatGPT and get the whole plan?
Yeah.
Have you seen like a shift in demand since AI is
Yeah.
becoming more popular?
From a retail investment standpoint, I have seen a lot more people come to me, just as much as I just said a minute ago. On TikTok, I saw the next sentence is, I was using ChatGPT and it said, so that happens a lot. Now, I have watched this, and in a lot of times there is conceptual accuracy to what it's saying, but when it comes to the details, most times it won't navigate that. And there can be inaccuracies. You just want to at least lean on a professional in most of those cases, or at least reconcile the data that you're getting from ChatGPT with a licensed professional. It's essentially taking information from all these different sources, compiling it really quickly and saying this is the answer, which may or may not be true. If I've got opinions about a certain legislation or a certain topic, right, that goes into the data bank of what's perceived accurate. May not be necessarily true, and that can skew your answers. Like I saw somebody the other day, they were doing legal documents. They're trying to build a trust for themselves. And they did it through one of these AI services, and it left out some key components of what they needed. And when they passed away, it was written incorrectly. The estate went to probate, it got fully taxed. The kids didn't get what they wanted because the parent had leaned on this ChatGPT trust to make that decision. They're like, we can't uphold this, right? It's not right. So I would just suggest reconciling the data with at least someone who's licensed. You're seeing more and more of it happen for sure, for sure. For general data, it makes a lot of sense, but when you get down to more specifics, I think it's important to have someone in your corner. Oh, with websites, by the way, like the website side, it'll build a website for you in like in 3 minutes. So a lot of times we're not charging people to build the websites anymore, right? We'll just build those, and if we're gonna do rev gen out from the website, it's gonna be from the deals we get from the player. So it's like, we'll do the website for free. If Gillette comes over to us and wants to do a razor deal, right, we'll take 3% of that deal and the rest is yours.
Hi, how's it
Hey,
going?
good.
My name's Adam. Thanks for your presentation. Thanks for
Thank
your
you.
information. I've worked a lot with high school students as a former high school teacher. I have 2 questions, and I'm still formulating them.
Okay.
But the general concept is there are some characteristics of the parents
Yeah.
that are in a caution mode around their athlete.
Right.
You know, they want to direct them, they want to get them to hear them, and
Yeah.
they're having a hard time. What kind of characteristics of athletes are avoiding the option because of the financial picture? What are some characteristics of students who say, you know, maybe I won't do the athletic thing because I can't make a living at it? What are some of those characteristics, and how do they contrast with the characteristics of the people who are gung-ho, yes, yes?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. In football and basketball, that doesn't happen.
It doesn't, yeah.
No. They literally like, I'm going pro. Period. I mean, there's no discuss. I mean, I'm going pro. I've never had somebody say, you know what, this isn't going to work out for me. I'm probably going to bail and go be a bank. Not at football and basketball. Other sports, yeah. Swimming, field hockey, soccer. My son, my soccer, he's like, well, I've had my run. I've enjoyed it. I'm probably going to do something else. I very rarely see that with football and basketball. The capacity to understand where your potential is very, very difficult at that age. I thought I was going to play pro. I'm 5'8", 180 pounds back then. And I could have told you I was going to play football the next 20 years, and I believed it with everything in my soul. So to tell somebody that and have them understand that, like, that's why I do this. Because it's like, not only are the majority of you going to go bankrupt if you spend this money, but 1% of you all are going to actually make it to any upper level sport. Most of you guys are not going to make it to the next level. And it kind of sucks to say it like that, so I'm tactful about it when I talk about it, but the truth is, like, most of them aren't going to make it anyway, which is why I'm like, what do you like to do off the court? Who are you outside of sports? If you can start kind of honing into that and planting little seeds here and there, it just makes the landing a lot softer when you leave. Not like, oh my God, I don't even know who I am. Where am I going to go now? I don't know. I didn't think about anything else. Now I've got kids being like, I want to be a real estate developer. I want to be a dentist. I'd like to look at it. They realize that their lifespan in sports, college or pro, otherwise, is going to be short-lived. It's a reality, right? I do it in a cushioned, soft way, but that's this way. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but
I mean, I don't know if it has an answer, but it's a curiosity.
yeah, that's what I have found. But the distinction really is planting the seed to let them know there is an afterlife, right? This will be their first retirement. The second one's 50 years away.
Hey, I missed the beginning of the presentation, so you may have gone over this, but when you say revenue generating sports, are you just mainly talking about football and basketball, or even like tennis, like where in college you're not making money probably, or not making much, but you could potentially
RevGen is defined by ticket sales, right? Concessions, parking, gear, apparel. If I go to Michigan, it's RevGen everywhere, right? That is a business, right? That is absolutely a revenue generating sport. Now, I don't know, does Michigan's bowling team make revenue? Probably not. So by definition, they'll say revenue generating sports are football, men and women's basketball. But there's revenue generation in men's baseball, right? Soccer has ticket sales, but usually the ones on scale they talk about are those three. But that doesn't preclude the others. It's just that they have smaller purses to give money to their student athletes.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. Hello. My question is, I would love to get you connected with my kids' athletic directors. I could give them your card and say, you got to talk to this guy, super important. They get busy, they lose the card, whatever.
Right.
What is the best way to get a meaningful connection with you?
Huh. Well, I'm a TikTok star too. I've got a @ProAthleteWealth page on TikTok, on Instagram. A lot of times people need to sense and feel your energy before they actually get to talk to you. And that's a really ADD way to do it, because I've got 30-second teasers on there where you can see whether or not you like me. I tell my guys a lot of times, like, the nature of what I do is, do I like you first? I got to like you. If I don't like you, it's a non-starter out of the gate. Then it's, do I trust you? Right? And after that, it's, did I do what I said I was going to do? If I got those three things, you got to win. Right? But if I don't like, we're not even starting if you don't like me. So the easiest way to see me without actually being like, oh, this is just a card, right, would be to look at like my TikTok or Instagram. I mean, that's my thought right there. I don't know. But I mean, it would be that, or have me come coach some kids or something. I don't know. I would say TikTok or Instagram. Yeah. Yeah.
So actually my question kind of piggybacks off the last two questions, so I'm going to reframe it. When you talk about, the kids that you would like to speak to, and you had your curriculum up,
Yeah.
but your targeting and the people that you want to access are those revenue generating
Right.
athletes.
Right.
So do you have a process in place, or do you have options for the children who are not in revenue generating sports, or maybe are not at that athletic level,
Yeah.
but can also still kind of get some kind of financial planning
Oh, yeah.
from you?
Not one of my kids at Asheville is going to go play Division I sports.
Right.
That curriculum I built was all for Asheville High School.
Right.
Those 12 are for like last spring, I hosted 40 football players, right, once a week. There wasn't one of them in the room going to go get an NIL.
Right.
That whole thing was designed for them to go out and live.
But how do they work with you?
Independently of that, just I'd give them my card and say, give me a call if you want to talk. Usually what will happen is I'll set up meetings with their parents. I've only had one or two that took such an interest in it, where they were like, I want to do more with this. Can my mom set up a custodial account for me? The fact that they use custodial, I was like, yeah, they actually know what the word custodial account is. So it was a win.
Right. So, and I wasn't able to complete my question. So can I just?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in that aspect as well, how closely do you work with the athlete and the university or the college? Do you offer any advice on that aspect, and how does that impact your branding for the students that you do take under your wing, in terms of making sure that that messaging is going to live past their college career?
Right. First of all, I would love to white label a curriculum for a college. I have had it's been very difficult to get in a college door. What I have found, even when I went back to Wake Forest, I was one of the first guys to come out and say, you all need to do a financial literacy for your student athletes. They said, yeah, we'll look into that. I didn't hear from them for like 6 months. Then they came back to me and said, we're working with Truist or Legacy. That's because Truist and Legacy finance all the buildings at Wake Forest. So majority of the time, and that's for me, I played there. I still know everybody there. And that was the best relationship I had for that. University of Louisville. My brother played football at University of Louisville. The guy who was at Wake Forest, who's the GA over there, is now SN Athletic Director. He couldn't get me in that tour. So it's very difficult for me to get in when I'm not financing the operations of the college. That's been my experience, right? There are other ways, but they will usually use a quote-unquote proprietary arm that's helping them in other ways before they let an independent financial advisor come in and do his work, right? So I'd love to white label something like that and have it be the face of App State sports. Doesn't need to be me, but it's my curriculum and I can speak to it and articulate it better than most people. So that's one hand there, but what was the second part of that question?
Like, how do you brand your students so that they can outlive their college career and like set them up for
Yeah.
what's going to happen afterward, whether they become a real estate agent?
Yeah, and
or in sports?
it's a great question, and I don't know that I have a definitive answer to that. I mean, that's kind of how the tagline came with Champions Beyond the Game type thing, but like, I haven't gained enough traction yet for it to be, Coach Pye, I want to use this and sustain it until, like what happens when I graduate and I want to go to med school, and I haven't gotten that far down the line. This is still in its infancy. I mean, I've been a financial advisor for 25 years, but what I built started 3 years ago.
And I think that part can become what distinguishes you and puts you above the
Okay. I'm open to it. So I really appreciate you guys hearing me out today. Let me know if there's any way I can help you all, or if you guys know any of these contacts. I would love to make connections.
Let's put our hands together. All right, I want to give a huge shout out to all of our event sponsors, Charlie and Troy Ball, who generously donate the space each week, Hatchworks Co-working, Mountain Bizworks, Western Carolina University, SCORE, Patrick O'Kane with EOS Entrepreneurial Operating Systems, Bear, the Brookshire Garside Private Wealth Management, ERC Broadband, Brick Creative, Dynamite Coffee Roasting Company, NC Idea, and Brian back there, who has Broadbeam Live Media, and he's live streaming this. Oh, coming up next week is the District Market, which is a new oh, there you are.
I'm here.
Yes, and give
I'll
us
be
a little
excited to share
teaser.
more
Give
next
us a
week.
little teaser.
Oh, little teaser. Have you ever walked through the red and just thought, I wish there was a spot I could stop and grab a fill in the blank? That's what we aim to say.
Yeah, so we're excited to hear more about that next week. This Friday is a comedy show happening at the Wortham. We have the social happening at 6 p.m. and it is free. But the comedy show you do get tickets for, and I've got a code for I think it's like 10% off. So if you're interested in going to that, just let me know and I'll give you the code. On Monday, if you want to volunteer, we are doing an MLK Day of Service at the Peace Gardens in West Asheville, which will be fun. A little chilly, but fun. And did anybody else see that we might get snow tonight? Yes. I'm excited. I love it when it snows. I know people have mixed feelings, but I grew up in Vail, Colorado, and we never had a single snow day. While I was in high school, they tied our passes to our attendance records, so we couldn't even just skip and then go skiing. So here, I love it that it's like it might snow and everything shuts down. I think it's amazing. And then on the 20th, there is Be Well, Reclaim Your Power in 2026. It's a wellness panel. It's from 9 to 1, and it is right here, and it is ticketed. Thank you guys so much for coming. Have a fabulous Wednesday, and we will see you next week.